we got a Navy All-American on our hands here. Jordan Clay, top 247. The Navy All-American Bowl is in San Antonio. We got a San Antonio native. Jordan, your decision is on July 11th. You got a finalist group. We'll get to that shortly, but how excited are you after a long, exhausting process to finally have it come to a close in a couple weeks?
It's great. It's from the start of the process. It started really early, and I didn't really think I'd be at this point where I'd be having to make such a big lifetime decision. So now that I'm finally here, I'm kind of just taking it all in, and just looking back on the past and where I started and now where I'm going to be at and playing at a university in a few months.
You had one of the coolest stories that I remember. We talked at a 7-on-7 tournament. You said that there was a coach that was sitting down watching Huddle at a restaurant, and your dad saw that he was watching this film and walked up and said, "Hey, you should go watch my son's film." The next day, he came to your school and offered you then.
Yes, sir.
I mean, what's that like, knowing that your dad's out there just quietly saying, "Hey, go turn the Huddle to this guy," and it turns into an offer? And like I said, you now got so many to choose from to get it down, but how cool is that kind of story, and how much was your dad support in this process as well?
It was really cool. He had texted me that night, and he was like, "Hey, UCLA might be coming by the school tomorrow." And I just didn't think much of it. But then the coach came to my school the next day, and he was like, "Yeah, I was at your dad's restaurant. I was just eating. He told me to look at your film. I love what I seen on film, and he said before I left out, I had to come see you." And he offered me. It was just a great experience. Great to know that there's a lot of other people out there, especially like my dad, helping me in my recruiting process, and just getting me out there when the opportunity presents itself.
You also told me another good story. When you were at the Navy All-American Bowl, you had to go across the street because there was a contact period, and I think you met with a college coach like at Starbucks across the street. So how many schools have you talked to, and how have you narrowed this process down?
I would say I've talked to every school in the country. I've had Bama at my school. I've had all the top programs at my school talking to me. Just the narrowing process came down to, I got three things, and it's the culture, the coaches, and the offensive scheme that I can thrive in. Just all the schools that I've narrowed it down to are just schools I feel like I could thrive in. I can play slot and wide out and be a good impact on that offense and thrive in that in whatever conference I end up choosing.
You brought the three finalists up. We got Baylor, Oklahoma, and Colorado. Baylor, what stands out about them?
Really just the coaching staff. Since they offered me back when I was a freshman, I went to the Baylor camp, chopped it up with the receiver coach, and then he offered me right then and there. Since he offered me, it's been nothing but a great line of communication. I know it sounds like crazy, but he's probably texting for almost a year straight now. And it's crazy to see that a coach takes the time out of his day, knowing he has a family and he has there's dudes at his university to coach, to stay in such contact with me and make sure everything's good with me and my family.
And what jumps out about Oklahoma for you?
Just how Coach Emmett does things in the receiver room. I remember when I went to go see the U of H game, they won, but Coach Emmett was just on the grades. Some dudes weren't doing so good in the classroom, and he made sure that was the first thing he talked about. He didn't critique anybody about the game. The first thing he said was, we need to get these grades up, and because obviously if you don't have your grades up, you can't play. So then he got into what they needed to do better. And just the whole coaching staff is great. Even a thing I noticed when I walked into their coaching office in their hallway, they have all their families above their doors, and that just shows me I owe you as family first.
And then lastly, Colorado. I saw the photo shoot photos. They looked sick.
Yes,
what do you like about the Buffaloes, man?
There's a lot you can say about them. They have a little bit of everything. Coach Shermer, he's great. Then you have Coach Phillips coming out of the receiver room. He has a lot of experience. He was a Hall of Famer at U of H. He's just a great coach. Of course, Dion, just being able to be around that much NFL talent, being able to be around almost four Hall of Famers, it's crazy. And if you want to be able to, play at the next level, will be coached by the dudes that have done it at the highest level and succeeded and have a lot of success.
Just to follow up on Colorado, 3 receivers drafted recently. Is that something you're taking into account? And what is it like having Deion Sanders call you up and say, hey, come be a Buff?
Yeah, it's definitely being able to see him play. I didn't really get to see him play, but watching highlights about him and just knowing the impact he's had on people, even what he did with Travis, the impact he had on him, had him go to Jackson State, then follow him all the way to and trust the process. It's like a lifetime dream to be able to have a dude like that at such a high standard call me and want me to come play for his come play at his university and be a player on that team. It's great, and to be able to learn from somebody that I said has done it at the highest level, it's just a great experience for me.
A lot of guys dream of playing in the All-American Bowl. You're from San Antonio. You watched that game as a kid. What did it mean to get the call to play in the game in 2025, and then also to become the first guy that's going to be able to play in 2 of these games, play your final game of your high school career in the Alamo Dome? What's that been like?
Oh, man, that's just it's crazy. You know, I've been watching the game since I was in 8th grade, and, you know, me and my mom have sat down and we always had a bucket list, and one of them was to be playing the All-American Bowl. And for that, to get that call and be able to know that I was going to be able to, you know, complete a lifelong goal is just incredible. My mom, you know, broke down in tears just because she knows how big it was for me, and to be able to come back and be a captain in the game this year is just it's just a lot of my hard work paying off, and I always thank God for everything that happens in my life. But I'm just really excited to, you know, be able to play my last game in the Dome.
Top 247 wide receiver Jordan Clay, July 11th, coming off the board. Very excited for you. Congrats on everything, man.
Yes, sir. Thanks
for your time, man.
Yes, sir.
Such an easy kid to like root for.
Big
right?
fan.
And
Big fan.
I remember Huffman when we invited him to the Navy All-American Bowl. Kind of came across his tape. I'm like, hey, this guy's from San Antonio. We need to get a local kid every year. A lot of doubters, I would say, about Jordan Clay. And you know what? He shows up there inside the Alamo Dome. Excellent all 3 days of practice. Thought really kind of stamped himself. And it's just been fun to watch his process. You know, again, a guy that's from an area that's maybe overlooked a little bit by schools, and he certainly has the talent. Big, physically imposing, can go attack the football, be a bully at the catch point. Someone's getting a good one. You know, Colorado, Baylor, Oklahoma. You know, he's going to do it in the Big 12.
Yeah, I saw a Baylor backpack with him at the 7-on-7 tournament. I saw him at this spring, and you know, at that point, his recruitment was really starting to explode. It was just a month after the All-American Bowl, but he was rocking that Baylor backpack. I don't know if there's anything to read into that.
There might be something. I mean, I think that's where all the buzz has been. Mike Roach does a phenomenal job there covering Texas and the surrounding area. I think Baylor's going to get a good one. We'll see, though. Colorado's not going to give up. I mean, Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, he's not really one I'm going to bet against. So, but I like Baylor. So.